What is going on, everyone? Leon checking in, and we're at it again with more content. And today we're going to cover Google Photos AI implementation used to help users modify their media while asking the question, have we gone too far? Now, to be clear, this new AI by Google allows users to modify both their photos and videos to create more appealing media. And I think this is a great description. Since the camera has become more accessible to the average person, we've been able to take photos and videos to record moments, but now we're in the business of recreating those moments in our own vision. But the question is, are we altering our perception of reality? And equally or even more important, by sharing this media, our photos and videos, with others, are we altering their perception of reality as well? Now, to be clear, this goes further than simply changing lighting or adding stabilization, which are helpful tools. What we may have is a problematic issue that's on the rise. We can add or remove objects. We can modify the environmental appearance. We can edit nonverbal communication and remove sounds, all of which modify the reality to something that never really happened. That being said, I'm not here to tell you what's right or what's wrong, but simply encourage you to ask the questions, because right now we are deciding the course of the future with this technology. Some of these questions may be, what if we decide to participate in experiences with set expectations reinforced by content created and modified by social media influencers, but when it comes to the experience, we realize it's nothing like it was portrayed? What happens when we start modifying people's faces by switching them out for other faces because they're not visually appealing? What happens when we thought we remembered a person's voice in a video, but it's not in there? Did we remember incorrectly, or was it simply removed? And what happens when we share this content with others and modify their perception of reality? And just maybe individuals think they remember having a different reaction to an experience, but they begin to question themselves, or more importantly, their insanity based on what's being shown. And as we already know, the mind is fragile when it comes to remembering events detail for detail. So the question is this technology possibly going to mislead future generations and create more deception? And that is what we're here to cover today. All things said, let's go ahead and get into it. So here we are at the Google Store, the website. But before we go any further, I just want to mention, I don't want this content to sound completely negative. I will say that a lot of these tools are going to be very helpful for creative purposes. For example, if we scroll up here, we're going to have very good camera technology for the Pixel 8 devices. And if we scroll down, you're going to see that a lot of what's going on here is focused on the creativity process. And that's a plus. We do want to create stunning images and videos when we record things. So we're going to have a continued focus on better low light photos. That's been a thing for a long time now with Pixel devices. But if we scroll down, this is where things start to get weird. Now, this here isn't the worst example. It looks like we had a video that was originally recorded and it was too dark, and then they brightened things up a little bit so we can actually get a better quality recording. Not entirely bad. This is more of a helpful tool when we think about modification. But I think this is the start of the problems that we might be running into. We see something like this, and it seems problematic. It seems like it's not optimal, and we want to modify it so that it is better visually. And then that leads us to looking at other imperfections and wondering if we can modify those also to create something that's also more visually appealing. And before you know it, we're modifying a lot of things because we're starting to find more flaws in reality. So scrolling down, we have our first example of finding flaws in an image that we used to just accept. So we have an image of a lady posing on a beach, and the before image is going to look fine. We're going to have an object in the background. We're going to have the natural skyline with the natural looking sand. But as we play the content, you can see they've removed the object in the background. They changed the environmental appearance, which is changing the sky and the sand. And then we're moving the main focus, which would be this lady, more into the focus of the picture. Now, that last portion isn't a bad thing, but the other things change reality itself. So what we have here is a reality that never actually existed. And I think this is actually a very good example of what could be problematic. Say this lady here was a social media influencer with lots of followers, and she went to this location. But let's make it a little bit more complicated. Let's say that there was a fence in the background and the lifeguard stand that was there and a whole bunch of people, and she removed all of that to make this image look more appealing, to make it look like she actually was there all alone and she had the beach to herself. But let's say that we could also add in some palm trees and again brighten that sky. And because she's going to this place and maybe she has a partnership with a resort, she wants to create the most visually appealing image, and that's what she does. But she creates this experience that doesn't exist. So when you go to this resort, when you go to this experience, it's not as it was portrayed. And you get here and you're like, what is going on? This isn't anything like what I seen in the picture. And in fact, it may be even worse. Maybe there's garbage. Maybe there's a huge crowd of people. Maybe there's a house here. Maybe there's a lot of stuff going on. Maybe there is noise pollution, environmental pollution, and it can also go the other way. These events could be dramatized to seem more negative to also elicit reactions. But this may not even be the weirdest of them all. So here we have your family photo. It looks like the family is on a carousel and they're all having this experience. They're all trying to have a good time. And if we look at the original picture, the father looks like he's looking down. The son, one of the sons, is making a really weird face. And the other son, he's making a weird face too. And that's the magic behind these pictures. Kids are going to do weird things, and I think preserving that is what really matters here. But someone went to the extent of changing these people's faces by replacing them with other faces, which were also recorded. So what we have now, instead of a few people not paying attention or maybe making an improper face, we now have everyone smiling as someone had intended who had edited the photo. And the problem with this is we're altering reality. And I like to think that maybe one of these boys, as they get older, they remember making a weird face, which would have been the reality of the situation. But because the photo was edited, they start to question what they remember. Did I actually make a weird face? So what can be problematic here is that these boys may remember making silly faces in this photo, but this photo is now altered so that it looks like that never happened. But they still think they did it. And as they get older, they may question how they remember things and if their mind is starting to forget things, which may impact other areas of their lives as they get older. And I don't think it would be mentally good for people to start questioning their reality. And this could lead to mental issues as well. It could also lead to the idea of wanting to create perfect moments, wanting to behave a perfect way, which is not always possible. It's almost impossible. And what we're seeing here is the increase of chase for perfection. Now, scrolling down, we have another example. So we have Audio Magic Eraser. And this may not seem problematic, but it is too, because it's altering reality. So we have a young man playing an instrument, and this isn't the best example. There was actually another example of a baby making sounds and a dog is barking in the background. But the dog sound was removed, so all you could hear was the baby. And again, we're changing reality. So to someone who was there, they might see the video later on and say, That sounds or looks different than what I remembered. I thought I heard a dog barking in the background, but the video says otherwise. So now we have all these tools that alter the reality that was recorded, which might change our perception of that reality. So before we wrap up, I do want to say I don't want this video to sound entirely negative when it comes to these tools. Right now, I'm just looking at the controversial issues. As for the moment, I don't plan on using any of these tools. I have tried using Magic Eraser, but I haven't found a means for it. I haven't found a good reason to actually use it. And I do feel that it's altering reality, and I don't want that to alter my perception as well. And again, this video is just to make you question these things, to try to figure out if this is something that's good for you, maybe good for the people that you're around, maybe good for all of humanity. It's something that we should talk about and something we should consider. So that is it for today's content. As always, thanks for watching, and may the universe flow in your favor. And until next time, Leon Check-in out.
You